Some of WWE's biggest stories have still yet to be told. And let's be realistic, sometimes the stories can be great, and sometimes they're dog crap. Like seriously, Roman was gonna leave WWE because of this. There are matchups and superstars that we wanna see return to WWE and see them go head to head with one another. And there's still time. So these are just some scenarios we wanna see happen in WWE before it's too late. Let's first talk about AJ Lee. Had a great run in WWE, arguably a little too short. Never came back. We never seen her make any type of return since her initial run. We have CM Punk back in the fold. They're married, they got Larry the dog, and seemingly with how good things are going between WWE and Punk, the landscape of WWE has also changed. AJ Lee has kind of the best timing, in my opinion, to make that return to the company. The days of Vince McMahon are done, and so if she were to return to WWE, we could see a pretty good run from her, as long as the creative is there. She is one name, and there are many, and everyone's got their favorites, but she is one name for me I would like to see come back to the company to do one more final run, to be able to tell a really cool story with up and coming talent or more established talent today. Whether that is going to be Bayley and Charlotte and Becky Lynch when she comes back, or it's going up against Tiffany Stratton, Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan. But I think you could have AJ Lee make a return to WWE in one scenario, Netflix. I think she could come back the debut Netflix episode of WWE Raw in January. That is going to be a massive show, tons of talent on it. We might see the likes of John Cena show up. You might get Goldberg, like it or not, but AJ Lee would be wonderful to see, to pop the crowd, understand that she is back in WWE, get on the WrestleMania card, it's a 2-night affair, and let her run rampant in the women's division for a few months. We saw Trish Stratus come back recently too. She had a really solid run in WWE, going up against Becky Lynch and telling a really long story that was one of my favorites. Or to hear AJ's music hit at the Royal Rumble would be phenomenal, but she's just one person and situation I want to see happen. Now, some of these are just kind of like fantasy booking. We mentioned CM Punk with AJ Lee, we'll be separating those two for just a second, but I would still like to see, if the time is right, get CM Punk versus Stone Cold Steve Austin once in a lifetime. The clock's a ticking, and you never know if this is actually going to be happening. It could be one of those big what ifs. And for me as a fan and a giant fan of Stone Cold Steve Austin that I grew up with, and a massive fan of CM Punk, these are two superstars that I've always wanted to see get in the ring and have that moment, have those promos back and forth. And I think WrestleMania 41 is possibly one of the last times that you could make this happen. Some people don't want it to happen, and that's okay. And also, Punk is going to be wrapped up into Gunther and Drew and Seth and all of that, probably at WrestleMania. That seems more likely, but if there's an opportunity where the Texas Rattlesnake could jump out of his ATV and go and give a stunner to CM Punk, I want to see it at WrestleMania. Now, another one that is unfolding as we speak, and we want to see it, and we're gonna see it. I don't know yet, and that's the fun part. I don't know yet if this will happen this year or they're gonna save it for Mania 42. You never know, but it has been on the books for so long, and we're on the cusp, ladies and gentlemen. We are about to have this, and I can't wait to see how it unfolds. The Rock versus Roman Reigns. We are in the midst of this story. It's been going on for many years now with Bloodline and Tribal Chief and even The Rock. And because we're dealing with this multi-year journey saga of the Bloodline and the final boss, this will either culminate at WrestleMania 41 or WrestleMania 42 and beyond. Could be a triple threat of Cody, Roman, Rock. Could be Rock and Cody this year. Could be Roman and Rock. But ultimately, the final story of the final boss and Roman Reigns needs to culminate at WrestleMania this year or next. And we have yet to have the promos between Roman and The Rock one-on-one, where they're enemies and they're no longer on the same side. If I get promos and moments similar to that of Rock and Cody in the lead up, where The Rock just beat the living tar out of Cody Rhodes backstage and he's bleeding all over the place, if I get similar moments of Roman and Rock like that, this will be a home run for WWE and could be one of the best stories for WrestleMania. They could just wreck it if they just have these two doing like video promos back and forth where no one is in the arena together. But I doubt that. I think we would get Final Boss and Tribal Chief together. Now, speaking of WrestleMania, John Cena is another name on this list of stories that still need to be told and finish up those stories. Not Cody's story, he's already finished chapters of his book.
To finish the story.
But now John Cena is on his retirement tour. He is finishing his book. He's in his final chapter. I think John Cena will make his return on the debut episode of Netflix on Raw, and he will then go and announce he's going to be like in the Royal Rumble. But one of the final moments, and we're going to get like a year of John Cena. He's going to have his final WrestleMania, and then he's still going to have more shows he's going to show up on. He's going to have this big final run with WWE. One of the big stories that I want Cena to tell is a final chapter, closing of the book between him and Randy Orton. I want to see that final chapter be told. I want to see the promos of a vicious, nasty heel Randy Orton going up against somebody he is a bitter rival with in John Cena. And watching these two veterans go at it, maybe they could sprinkle in the world title in there and Randy does it and he can kind of retire John Cena one way or another. But if I can have a John Cena Randy Orton match at WrestleMania 41, it'd be the last time you could see it. Even if those two guys were baby faces going into it and they just wanted to prove who is the best of their generation, it is something that they need to tell, in my opinion, before John Cena finally retires. Okay, on my list, I do have, and I apologize, but I do have Gunther versus Brock Lesnar.
Come on!
And chatter is going on about Brock Lesnar returning to WWE. One of the matches that was penciled in and earmarked for WrestleMania last year was Gunther versus Brock, and we didn't get it because Brock, vamonos, he gone. He was out of the picture, and he was dust and is not to be spoken about. Now there's more rumblings of Brock potentially coming back. And if he does, and I gotta have a Brock match, I want one of the final matches to be against Gunther because I think they could tell an amazing story in the ring. Brock is not a massive promo guy. He's okay. Gunther can tell a good promo. And to be able to see Gunther on his heels a little bit in terms of having to go face to face with the Beast, dealing with F5s from Brock Lesnar, someone that is bigger, literally bigger than Gunther, somebody that really can stand up to him, and you get a really cool moment between these two. They could, if Brock comes back, they could rinse and repeat this at the Royal Rumble. Maybe Gunther drops the title before that, and if he does, you could recreate the moment at the Rumble between these two and then have their feud go off to WrestleMania. But you just make it a crazy 10-minute blockbuster match of chops, power bombs, and F5s, and you have Gunther go over in the end to then propel him even higher in WWE. I think they can tell a good story between these two. And then Brock could just retire to the farm from there. And if he faces Brock Lesnar, would Gunther then just become a face? Or just depends how they position it. Gunther probably stays as Gunther. Brock, I guess, would be default babyface. So I have to see if it happens. But speaking of babyfaces, somebody I like to see become a babyface, tell this big story, and this will take years for it to happen in my opinion. Dominik Mysterio. Dom has gone from somebody that I do not want on my television. Like, we had Dom come in right at COVID era, and it was hard to watch. He's doing the piggybacks with Rey Mysterio. He's glad handing. He was just happy to be there with his little short hair, and he looked like a little child playing wrestler. I still don't like it. This is like a tangent. I never liked Dom Mysterio doing the 619 because especially when he started off, he looked like he was doing the laziest 619 ever, where he would just slowly turn and pop somebody with like the edges of his knees. It was so bad. Anyways, I'm sorry. But Dom Mysterio now with Judgment Day, and he's a heel, and then he gets to become an even bigger heel because he turned on Rhea. He was already bad guy. Dom Mysterio now is somebody that has grown on me so much, and his character work is excellent, and I want to see what Dom can do as a babyface long term. It'll be a really cool story when that happens, because by wrestling history, that's usually how it goes. You are a big heel, you get over with the crowd, people just appreciate your work for so long that they turn you babyface. And once things with Rhea end and Liv Morgan end, and Judgment Day is no more, we're long ways away, everybody. When all that happens, Dom Mysterio needs to be able to stand on his own, and you could see him become a pretty cool babyface. Feels like he could be more in line with that of Eddie Guerrero. Go figure, because Eddie's his real dad, right? But Eddie was so special in that he could play a vicious, nasty heel, and he could be a beloved babyface because of not only his in-ring work, but he was charismatic. and he could talk on the mic, and he could tell really cool stories in the ring, on the mic, in character. Dom is not a 5-star match guy, but as he gets older and he's just got a little wear and tear on him, and he finally is on his own because he has yet to do that. Dom Mysterio has never been in a position in WWE where he is just on his own without any allies or family and all of that, those big story pieces where he's supporting cast member. He's never had a solo singular feud where there are no other pieces. So he's always had Rey Mysterio around him since he came into WWE, so all his feuds were with Rey or against Rey. Then it was Judgment Day and Rhea, and now Liv with Judgment Day. He's never done it on his own. So once that happens, I'm really curious to see what they do with Dom. Now, and I got another match this probably should have happened already. It was probably going to happen, but unfortunately due to injury, it's not just yet, but it is a story that they need to tell at some point. It's going to be Gunther versus Ilia. Gunther's already been on the list, but for one more time, Gunther versus Ilia Dragunov is a match we need to see once again. We've had this in NXT UK, and it's just a brilliant match to see. I think WWE will get around to it. Unfortunately, Dragunov is injured and will be out for quite a while and missing this year's WrestleMania. But when he comes back, and they probably have to heat him up again, they will have a moment and they will have time to tell that story on the main roster between Gunther and Ilia. Could be for a title, or it is just straight up one-on-one and who's the best wrestler. It can go overseas. Maybe it'll be in a UK WrestleMania, you never know. Okay, I got 2 more for you, but you guys got to comment below and tell me what's on your list. And if you enjoy these videos, hit that subscribe button because it just helps us out and helps us grow a ton. The next one, and it can happen before this man retires, before Roman Reigns retires officially. We're gonna get The Rock. We might get a Cody rematch with Roman, but before it's all said and done, I want to see Roman Reigns versus Jacob Fatu one-on-one. We might get that in the next couple of months. Like, that could be at the Royal Rumble. We don't know. That could be WrestleMania this year. I don't know. The Rock might not show up or he's busy with Cody. But Jacob Fatu is such a gem. He's awesome to watch in the ring. The moonsault is just perfect. He has such a good grasp of his character. And we've already had the teases of the moments between Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns, like the steel cage moment. And they've built Fatu in a great way in that he is a dominant monster who gets up right away, where like Randy Orton tries to take him down and he pops right back up. He no-sells stuff, so he looks more intimidating than Solo Sikoa. Solo Roman one-on-one, yes, I expect that to totally happen. But the match I'm more interested in is going to be Fatu versus Roman Reigns. Maybe have Fatu go over. If you want to build Jacob Fatu as the next big thing in WWE long term, I think he needs to get those big, credible one-on-one wins against people like Cody, Roman Reigns, and others. He's been involved in the tag matches, but we have yet to see him really go one-on-one. And it's going to be a while before I think we see him going off one-on-one in his own feud. But Fatu, Jacob Fatu, is somebody that I'm watching for the next couple of years because the story between him and Roman could be really awesome. Now, the last one on my list, and again, there's a million different stories in WWE we could get. There's a ton of different opportunities for them to tell compelling stories with different superstars. But one that's always been on my list that I've yet to see them pull the trigger on is going to be a singles run for Montez Ford. I like the Street Profits, but they've been around for a very long time now. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it, and others I'm like, oh yeah, they've been a main roster for a while. They've had moments where Montez Ford was in Elimination Chamber and stood out, and it felt like, oh, they're finally gonna do it. They're gonna let him go on a bit of a singles run. He's had the occasional singles matches there. I remember he did have one against Roman Reigns during like the peak Bloodline era. And I don't necessarily need Street Profits to break up because Ford turns heel, for example, or Dawkins turns heel, and they go at it. I don't necessarily need to see that, but they could just part ways, or a draft happens and they are forced to split and then reunite later. But Montez Ford has such charisma. He's great on the mic. He's funny. He can go in the ring. He's super athletic. I feel like he has every tool that is there that is needed to be a champion. If I had it my way in 2025, there would be a draft and I'd have Montez Ford go over to Raw and go after the world title and tell Dawkins that he needs to do this, that they need to separate so that they can go and see that they can prove it to themselves, that they can stand on their own. The Street Profits have won a lot of belts, a lot of tag titles, and they've been in a lot of different programs, and some stuff has worked and some stuff has not. But I feel like how much longer are we just gonna keep seeing these guys in the tag division? Kind of rinse and repeat doing the same thing over and over. Montez Ford is that one guy that I wanna see break off and do something really cool over the next couple of years. Because you could have a monster baby face in Ford, or he could be leveraged as a really cool heel. But what stories does WWE need to tell for you? Comment below, and guys, I mentioned Brock Lesnar and the potential for him coming back. Click this video right here because we're talking about those potential feuds and matchups he could have when he returns. If he returns, we don't know. It's not everybody wants to see it. Have a great day. See ya.